Well, thank you very much, and I'm excited about hour 9, and that means we have the 9th reason for hope. And actually, this is one of the reasons that makes me the most optimistic about our ability to solve the climate crisis. And what I'm talking about are the ongoing efforts of so many in the business community. Why? Well, they're embracing clean energy and sustainability solutions, not only because many of their customers are demanding it and because it enhances their brand value, but also because it makes simple, good business sense. They save money, they reduce expenses. The business world's adoption of clean energy technology, for example, sends a very powerful signal. It tells us that renewable energy is not some ideological pursuit, it's just common sense. Indeed, some of the biggest names in business are now leading the charge. And you could even say, with a few exceptions, that business is ahead of governments. And one reason I'll repeat is that businesses dealing with the public, who wish the public to have a good feeling about their brands, because they know that those good feelings translate into repeat business and a preference for a business brand that they admire over one that they do not. So consumer-facing businesses are really making a lot of major changes. But businesses that simply keep a careful eye on how to reduce expenses where they can are often among the leaders in adopting renewable energy and sustainability solutions. You add it all up and you get the 9th reason for hope. Many large businesses and global brands are finding that it makes sense to go green. I want to start with an announcement today, just a few hours ago, where 19 large companies joined with the Obama administration just today to announce a sharp reduction in their use of hydrofluorocarbons. Sounds technical, but HFCs are incredibly powerful global warming pollutants. In fact, each molecule of an HFC is almost 10,000 times as powerful as a molecule of CO2 when it comes to trapping heat in the atmosphere. So these businesses joined with the president to say they're going green where their phasing out of HFCs is concerned. Most of our focus has been on CO2 because that's the main source of global warming pollution. But in solving the climate crisis, we also have to address these other kinds of pollutants. And these HFCs, even though the volume is somewhat low, they are so potent that they really do make a big difference. So here's another example today of large businesses leading the way in reducing global warming pollution. Oh, by the way, there was another announcement today from NASA that on a global basis, the month of August just passed was the hottest August ever measured with instruments since they've been using instruments to measure temperature. Yet another example of record-breaking increases in temperature. But this is a great day for business to take a leadership role. And you see highly visible actions around the world, like this from Sanyo, the Japanese company, putting a very visible solar charging station out in front of their business. You no doubt have seen such examples yourself. But here is what I regard as more important than the public displays, and that is the hard-nosed accounting results. When businesses like these, UPS, Cisco, PepsiCo, GM, Intel, Walmart, announce the very real savings in costs that they are achieving by going green. And by the way, this is becoming a fairly common story. Sometimes a company will decide to go green because they want their customers to know they care. They believe it's going to be good for business to have a forward-looking position on solving the climate crisis. And then they find out to their surprise that they're saving a lot of money by going in that direction. Anyway, these are 6 examples. Let's look a little bit more closely at Walmart. Walmart has a controversial company in some ways, I know, but where it comes to climate, they have really gone the extra mile, and they deserve an enormous amount of credit. I really admire what they have done. A couple of quick examples. They've increased renewable energy use 6 times over just in the last, I'm sorry, they've pledged to increase it 6 times over in just the next 6 years. I happen to know that they have already increased it a great deal in the past. I went down to Arkansas for the kickoff of their sustainability shift several years ago, and I've watched them carefully since then. They also plan to save $1 billion per year by the use of renewable energy and energy efficiency measures. That's real money, and in the business world, it really is important. If you look at the Fortune 100 companies, the largest companies in the world, 60% of them have now set clean energy targets and greenhouse gas or global warming pollution reduction targets. That's very impressive. And again, when I say business is ahead of politicians, if only 60% of all the politicians in America had set targets for solving the climate crisis, we'd be in a lot better shape. Let's look at some examples. AT&T announced a plan some time ago to have 8.9 megawatts of renewable energy in place by the end of 2012. Well, here we are in 2014, and they have more than doubled that, 19.8 megawatts. Great job, very impressive. Dell, the computer manufacturer, of course, estimates that just improving the efficiency of its products is going to save its customers over $1 billion annually. If you look at PepsiCo, one of the companies that has really made a point of promoting sustainability, not just as a branding exercise, but authentically. I've watched it happen. They have even gone to the trouble to develop their own proprietary way of tracking water use, tracking emissions, tracking waste generation, and it's a very clever, very effective tool, very useful, and they're making it available to its subcontractors and suppliers and all its distributors. Another example, HP, they promised to set a goal to double renewable energy use from 4% to 8% of all of the energy they use. Well, look, they not only reached the mid-range of that goal, they greatly exceeded the high range. They now get 13% from renewable sources, and they're still attempting to do more. Verizon, another fantastic company, and their chief sustainability officer says it's not just about going green, echoing something I said earlier, it's about driving shareholder value. It's about building in redundancy, because green energy, regardless of what industry you're in, as he puts it, regardless of what's going on, it is good for all. And more to come from Verizon, I happen to know. Google has already spent more than $1 billion on clean energy products to power their energy-intensive data centers. Data centers around the world, by the way, if you look at the industry as a whole, is now a little higher than 2% of global emissions. So this is a big deal when you have these kinds of expenditures. Apple, I'm on the board of Apple, so forgive me for feeling and expressing a little pride in what Tim Cook and the executive team and the whole employee base at Apple have done. I'm really very proud of them. And by the way, Lisa Jackson, the former head of the Environmental Protection Agency, is now helping to lead the charge with Tim Cook. And they have really spoken out forcefully, and I'm proud of them. I've already said I'm sure you can recognize that. But here's one reason why. Across all of its facilities, Apple uses 94% renewable energy. That's really taken a lot. They have the largest privately owned solar farm in the world, made in North Carolina. But let's keep going, because there's some companies that already get 100% of their electricity from renewable sources. Look at all these companies: Intel, Kohl's. I won't read off the entire list, but you recognize these brands. They're world famous. Now, do you think that they would waste money in getting 100% of their electricity from renewable sources? No. They've done it because it makes good economic sense. Now, this is a list of some of the big companies in the United States that have pledged to take action on climate. These are some of the major corporations and investment firms that are supporting the climate declaration, asking for progress toward an agreement to solve the climate crisis. I couldn't even possibly list all the medium-sized and small businesses that are supporting action on climate. It's an extremely impressive list, and it gives me a great deal of hope. And actually, business as a whole, large, medium, small, not all, but as a whole, business is actually ahead of politicians. There are a few businesses, including some of the largest carbon polluters, including some of their ideological allies, that just have extremist positions that the government shouldn't do anything. They believe there's no such thing as the public interest. They've been fighting against action to solve the climate crisis. But that should not cause us to lose sight of what the majority in the business world are doing. They are actually moving forward. It is an incredibly hopeful development, and it's continuing. You will hear more about it, I predict, at the UN summit next week. But the fact that business is taking the lead in stepping up efforts to solve the climate crisis, that is another reason for hope.